Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and we had quite a week this week. It's funny, I have like a plan all set out as to what I'm going to do, and then all of a sudden all this stuff comes in and you got to kind of readjust. So we had that Ouya interview with Bob Mills, who's their games guy. I thought that was really cool, so check that one out. We got that iShare thing that I mentioned last week, and it turned out to be a lot more interesting than I thought. It was a really lousy media streamer, but really good at mirror casting and AirPlay both in a single device, which is actually pretty unique. And I'm going to shoot a follow-up on that device later today, and that'll be out later this week. And we also got that cardboard Dodocase VR headset that works with an Android smartphone. That was pretty cool too. So if you missed any of those, check them out because there's some really unique things out there that came across the channel this week. So I'm really kind of excited about how those came out. We've got Acer's new Tegra K1 based Chromebook coming out. I put in a pre-order for that. There's a full HD screen on it, and what this promises to be is the perfect intersection of battery life and performance. So we looked at a bunch of Chromebooks over the last couple of months, and they've all been kind of sluggish, even the Intel-based ones, because they're using processors that really try to give it a little bit more battery life at the expense of performance. And this K1 version apparently will do better. Now, we know how well K1 processors are doing with games, which we saw on the NVIDIA Shield tablet. So how they do with traditional computing applications like web browsing, we'll have to see. But as soon as that gets here, I will bring it down here and review it and do some benchmarks on it as well. I don't think it's going to be running the Android apps yet, so we'll have to wait a little bit to see, maybe some of those 3D benchmarks and that kind of thing. But we'll stay tuned. We'll have it up pretty soon. I just did an interview yesterday about securing yourself online, and this is a little bit more boring than some of the stuff perhaps than I review normally, but it's a really important topic because if you're just securing your account with a password and you're using that password in more than one place, that's not a good practice. And you see, we all know people actually that have been hacked. It might have been you, maybe by a script or maybe by somebody maliciously, but whatever the reason, you really can do things to secure yourself better, including using two-factor authentication. So check out that interview and then go to the links below because I wrote an article about this and did a how-to about how to secure your Google account with something called two-factor authentication, where you have to use a little app on your phone to log in from unknown computers. It is a really helpful thing. It's on all the major services now, and I think you should really implement it. In fact, I want you to implement it and then write a comment below. So take that pledge from me. Secure yourself a little bit better today, and we'll all have a better world to live in. So do that for me. Thanks. The next item is the Sega Genesis turns 25 this week, and that makes me feel very old because I bought it like the month it came out. It actually came out in Connecticut a little bit earlier than it did in the rest of the country. So I remember going to Toys R Us one night with my mom, and it was in the case, and then I had to just save up my pennies, and eventually I was able to get one probably around the fall of 1989 when there was only like 4 or 5 games out for it. But what an amazing system. I'd love to hear some of the games that you like to play on the Genesis. Maybe I'll try a few out because I'm sure there's a bunch of Genesis games that I missed while I was in college and focused on PCs and 3DOs and everything else. So leave those in the comments below too. This week we've got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm trying to get more updates done because I've got so many questions banked up on things that I've reviewed previously. I definitely want to revisit my HD home run setup because it's now been about a year since I made that initial video. That's my top video on the channel, and I think it's time to kind of do an overview of how I am using the HD home run and the Windows Media Center and Plex all together in a really neat system. So I will be doing that shortly. Also, how to connect your Ethernet to your network over coax cable that you might have in your house. Basically the cable TV lines apparently can be used now using a device called a MoCA device that transmit data through your cable wiring, even if you have existing cable service. Now at my house, I pretty much disconnected all of my traditional coax cable in lieu of the IP stuff, so I have pretty much dark cable all over my house that I want to try to get going again. So we've got that going on. A couple other things that will probably come my way as well, so stay tuned for that. And it's been a fun week, and hopefully next week will continue to be a fun week. As always, your comments are appreciated. Leave them in the comments below on this or any video. I'd love to hear from you about what I'm doing right or wrong. And if the channel's been helpful, I'd appreciate a contribution on my tip jar at Lon.TV/tipjar, or you can become a monthly subscriber at Patreon, Lon.TV/Patreon. And this has been your weekly wrap-up in one take. I'm really excited. This is the first time I've ever been able to do it in one take. And this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.